This meeting to order of the Torrington City Council. Good evening and welcome. We have with us here tonight Ryan Kaith from KERM, KGOS Radio. This council meeting is being broadcast live on the local radio stations and also on a YouTube channel. We also have with us Ms. Jess Oakes from the Torrington Telegram. This is Tuesday, May 21, 2024. This is the 10th council meeting of the year and the second meeting in May. Our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Councilman Dennis Kelly to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Kelly. Next item on the agenda is the mayor's informational items. Memorial Day is coming. It is Monday, May 27th this year. It is a special day when we remember our past. We honor our dead, those who have gone before us. We do this as individuals, families, and as a nation. Please take time this weekend to remember those who have preceded us and played a great part in giving us all the blessings we now enjoy. Many head up to our municipal cemetery on Memorial Day weekend. I want to thank Dennis Estes, Clay McCraney, and Matt Hickman and their crews, some of which are inmates from the local prison, for all the hard and good work they do to make our municipal cemetery one of the best, and a credit to our city. Memorial Day weekend seems to be the unofficial start of the summer season. Torrington High School graduation took place on Sunday, May 19th, 2024, and I want to congratulate all the members of the class of 2024, their parents, families, and friends. School starts summer vacation this coming Thursday, May 23rd. There are already greatly increased numbers of pedestrians, bicycles, electric bikes, and scooters, and motorcycles out and about. Please keep a careful eye out for all this increased traffic. Please slow down, and please refrain from using your cell phones while driving. The Torrington Municipal Pool is set to open on Saturday, June 1. I want to especially thank Dennis Estes and Mike Lira and Chris Becker for all their creative, intelligent, and hard work in preparing the pool for opening. I also want to thank all those behind the scenes for all their help in accomplishing this goal. A special thank you to Jennifer Brummel, our pool manager, for all her hard and smart work in gathering a full contingent of lifeguards to make this a successful pool season. The City of Torrington and the citizens of Torrington work hard to provide a top-notch swimming opportunity for all. As summer season opens, please enjoy our municipal golf course, sports fields, parks, and walking path. When you see city maintenance workers working hard to keep these things beautiful and functional, please offer them a hearty thanks for all they do. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the May 7th, 2024 council meeting as published.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion from Councilman Patterson to approve the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a second? Second from Councilman Kelly. Any discussion, gentlemen?
I would like to note an amendment on page 3. The first paragraph just left out, and this is going to sound like I'm being absolutely non-humble here, but left out the L on the end of my name there. Mayor Doby concurred with Councilman.
I see that, the last sentence in the first paragraph.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I would amend my motion to approve the corrected consent agenda.
All right, do I have a second for the amendment? Second from Councilman Kelly. Any further discussion?
I don't want to get into the weeds of motions and so forth. So did Councilman Patterson amend his original motion?
Yes,
Okay.
and I called for second.
And Councilman Kelly seconded.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the amended motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes that correction on page 3, paragraph 1, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the approval of the consent agenda is passed. All right. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda itself. And gentlemen, I would like to ask for a motion to amend the agenda to add item 1A under action items, which is, the topic is the golf course RV park, to set the fee for the golf course RV park and to set the rules for the golf course RV park. And I'd like that to be under, as 1A under the action items.
Mr. Mayor, I would so move to amend the agenda as presented.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Victorin to amend the agenda as I just described. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Deal. Any further discussion, gentlemen?
Probably should clarify, Mr. Mayor, that I would amend and approve the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah, the second accepts that.
all right. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the agenda as amended is approved. Next item on the agenda is what we call the public forum. I do not see any sign-up sheets in the black box in front of Councilman Victorin, but I always want to explain this so people in the future can take advantage of it if they so choose. This on the agenda is the public forum. This is for non-agenda items. There is a time limit of 2 minutes, and the speaker must sign up before the meeting. This is a time for council to listen. No action will be taken. Next item on the agenda is an information item, and I want to let everybody know this is informational only. No action will be taken tonight. I had a request to be on the agenda by Jeremy and Amanda Torrington, and I believe they're sitting back there. And I would like to invite you folks forward to the podium, and you can give us the information that you want to about emotional support animals.
Hi. I'm actually really bad at this. This is the first time I've ever done it. So I typed out what I'm going to say. I have a copy of that if you guys would like one, so you can follow along with me if you have questions to go back to be able to reference that if you guys would
Certainly,
like.
if you want to bring 4 copies up, I'll let myself and council have a copy. Thank you.
Thanks.
And ma'am, just for the record, you are
I'm Amanda
Maren,
Torrington.
okay, and your husband? Jeremy Torrington.
This is my
All right,
husband.
thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to read from this because this is going to try to keep my emotions at bay. May 21st, 2024. To the City Council of Torrington, Wyoming, and Mayor Doby. First and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all. Thank you for your time on this important issue to Jeremy and myself. The issue at hand that we would like to speak on is ESA animals, specifically hens. ESA animals is emotional support animals, for those that didn't know. It's specifically hens inside of the Animal Control District. Be patient with me as I try to make it through this with as few of emotions as I possibly can. Around April 23rd, April 2023, we started hearing from several different friends and other community members that it was approved to be able to have up to 4 hens inside city limits, something I had always wanted to experience since I was a young child, but being in city limits could not. My dad got put on hospice, and the more Jeremy and I thought about getting 4, what we were under the impression we were allowed, chicks, the more it sounded like a neat, fun, and great learning experience. My dad passed away on April 20th, 2023. Watching someone pass in front of you hits you in a whole different way. We went to Baumgart's here in town. I have always had to go at least look at the babies, and they had some. They had one group with just a few that weren't sold, which is very rare, so we went ahead and got 4, hoping they were all hens and knowing absolutely nothing about them other than we wanted eggs and we would never process them for meat. The learning started the moment we got them home. We quickly learned that these little girls were helping my whole family with their mental health. They were the bright light in an extremely hard and dark time for all of the people in the household. We had no idea if we had roosters or hens, and we knew if we had roosters, we would have to rehome them from what we understood and had found online in regards to keeping them in city limits. My daughter, Aubrey Baker, has extreme mental health disabilities. This child, when she was in a really dark place mentally, could go out and the ladies would, that's what I call the hens, I'm sorry, and the ladies would come and sit with her and give her 5 minutes to be able to experience a 5-minute break from the craziness of being a prisoner in her own mind. My mom, who is here tonight and who has really struggled with the loss of my dad, her husband, got such pleasure from just sitting and watching them play. She started wanting to go out and check for eggs once they started laying them. She got pleasure from going out and cooping them up and telling them, "Good night, ladies." My mom has never wanted to be outside until we got the ladies. Me, myself, I developed the absolute most therapeutic relationship with these 4 hens than I could have ever imagined. I had no clue what personalities they possessed. Each one is so different. I have severe mental health diagnoses and suicidal ideations. Sorry. Which I have been under the care of mental health professionals for years. Just a few of my mental health diagnoses are bipolar 1, PTSD, ADHD, autism, severe depression, and debilitating anxiety. Hence this. I also have severe MS, multiple sclerosis, secondary progressive multiple sclerosis to be exact. This means there is no getting better. The relapse is continuous. I also have extreme RA, rheumatoid arthritis, which is also extremely progressive. Both autoimmune illnesses are extremely progressive. Both of those, I am also under the supervision of specialists, all of which agree that my hens are especially good for me as much physically as they are mentally. We had these hens for a total of 11 months. That was me having to get out of bed on painful and bad physical or bad mental health days, to go let them outside of their coop between 6:30 and 7 in the morning daily. It was not an option. I had to take care of my ladies. I had coffee outside with them daily and spent all my time I could outside with them. I had a want to clean up the yard and do stuff with them while outside, which in turn resulted in a better maintained yard. When it was cold, they would come into our shop, garage, and get the wood-burning stove, snacks, and TV with us. Going to the store or being in or around people for me is extremely difficult. I have anxiety attacks from going to get a gallon of milk from the store. I didn't ever want to take my hens to a store or a restaurant, ever. I just want to be able to do what I was doing that was helping me so much more than any words could explain, which was pull in the driveway after the chaos of going out of the house, come home and go straight to the backyard, sit on the bench, and the 4 ladies knowing I just needed to ground myself a bit so I could go back to doing what I needed to do. I did that multiple times a day, every day. They helped when I was having severe mental health days. They helped calm me down. They helped me deal with the chaos of dealing with a seriously difficult child. They helped us with our marriage. They gave me a purpose and something to look forward to, especially because all three of my kids moved out around at the same time, and I felt like I had no purpose anymore. Having them, once they became laying ages prevented us from having to use food pantries in Torrington because we always had fresh eggs. We had two that could fly. They got their flight wings clipped right after that was found out. My 4 hens have never left our yard, specifically our backyard that is fenced. They have never chased anyone, bitten, or attacked anyone. They do not make any more noise during sunlight hours than the flocks of birds that come to our yard daily to get bird seed. Actually, they make less. They are locked up and put in their coop right before sunset and don't get out until between 6:30 and 7 each morning. We keep the yard raked and coop clean. We do not feed table scraps or rotting food to them, so it doesn't attract unneeded or unwanted flies. Our neighbor, who is on the other side of our fence where their coop is, loves them, and he has been there the whole 11 months we have had them. I am getting mental health treatments, and I had just gotten home from the treatment, and my mom said that Terry, the animal control officer, had stopped and gave us until 3 p.m. the following day to have them all gone. By the time we found out about it, it was less than 24 hours we had to find somewhere for them to go. The fact I have to air out some of my mental and physical problems to people that don't know me flat out sucks. I'm doing so, not just for my ability to try to have what has helped me heal more than any other medications have, but to bring awareness to be brought to the issue for everyone. They are not a noise nuisance. The dog that sits outside and barks all night right behind our house makes more racket nightly. They are not a harm threat, as they don't chase or attack anyone or leave our yard. But all 3 of my kids have been bitten by dogs in our area, which are okay to be emotional support animals. In closing, I would like you to consider the fact that many urban areas with houses stacked way closer together are allowed to have chickens. There have also been numerous studies completed since the COVID pandemic started that have been done on the extreme benefits to one's mental health by owning chickens. Again, thank you for your time and consideration in this matter, Amanda and Jeremy Torrington.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
you presented that well, and my
Thank you.
condolences
I'm shaking so
to
bad.
you for the loss of your father and to Mrs. Baker for the loss of her husband. My condolences. And did you have anything more that you wanted to say to council?
Just the fact that I didn't want to come up and do this, but we've had these babies for 11 months. And did we go about it the right way? Probably not. We went on hearsay, and I do know for a fact of 4 other families in city limits that have 4 hens in their backyard currently. I won't drop names because that's not my business, but I do have a letter from, and I've given a copy to Mr. Eddington. I have the original in the truck from my mental health doctor stating that they are emotional support animals for me. There was an issue because I have 4 of them, which was what we were under the impression we could have. And we knew up until 2 weeks before we had to get rid of all of them, one hadn't started laying yet, and we knew there was still a possibility we'd have to get rid of that one if it was a rooster, because you couldn't have them in city limits. We live like 2 blocks from the county line, up on Platt Street, and so we get woke up by a rooster every morning, but it's across that street, you know what I mean, that back highway, it's across that. I don't know what else to do. I'm trying to take the appropriate steps. We did find, thank God, I had a friend that was willing to hold them, and I'm trying anything and everything to get my mental health back into check. A lot of you guys probably know my daughter. Aubrey Baker is a very hard child, and the police and the county and everybody else knows my child, and she took a toll on me. And all my kids, like I said, they all moved out at the same time. And I just really lost my purpose. I can't even go outside in the backyard right now because I'm so depressed. Our yard's taken a toll for it, you know, the looks of the yard and stuff, because I can't be out there. It breaks my heart, you know, and I mean, almost a year we bonded with these babies daily. And I didn't know a chicken had such a personality. It's a chicken, for crying out loud, you know. The cost of eggs, I'm a bariatric patient, and we live solely off of my husband's income. He works at EWC, and my mom gets Social Security. My mom's my landlord. She's completely okay with the fact of having them. She's approved that, but it's not her choice. And I want my babies back home. I am on a mental health drug. It's called Spravato, and it's for suicidal ideations. And it's very sporadic. I've missed 2 treatments. That's why I'm a little bit more emotional today. And the last 2 weeks have been hard. And I could have used these girls a lot in the last 2 weeks, a lot. So I just would like you guys to consider our point of view,
Well,
our standpoint.
Congratulations, you did well
Thank you.
with your letter and just now, so. Gentlemen, do you have any
I
questions?
appreciate you guys giving us the time. I really do.
I just have a question on the ESA part,
Yes.
because I don't understand.
Oh,
that.
we've dug down rabbit holes on this one. We've done. I can recite the ESA thing for you, so ask away.
But is the designation of an emotional support animal made by your physician or by a governmental agency?
No. Okay, so it's by our physician. The letter I have is to the book, everything that needs to be done. It needs to be done, it needs to be signed personally by them. It needs to be in their letterhead or on their letterhead, and it needs to be in a letterhead envelope from them. You have to get them recertified through your doctor. Your doctor has to do it every year and say yes or no. And she's said no to several people, but she's also watched me through this process. There's a couple of people here that have watched me before I had them, while I had them, and since I have lost them. And all you have to have, businesses have the right to refuse an ESA, not a service animal. The only thing, correct me if I'm wrong here, Mr. Eddington, the only thing service animal quality, or that would qualify, is one they have to have training, and it's a miniature horse and a dog. And so ESA opens it up for other things, but stores, businesses, restaurants, parks can deny your ESA entry because they're not a technical service animal. Flights, they can deny an ESA because it's an emotional support animal. For an ESA, it's more on the emotional level to bring you back down. And that's why I would completely understand, taking my hen, okay, come on, Candy Marie, and let's go to Deacon's and have some breakfast. I'm not gonna do that. That's not what I want. It's the looking forward to being able to come home and go sit outside. Even if it's cold outside, they'll come see me, or they'll come in the garage and sit and watch TV with me. And it's that being able to ground myself enough to be able to go on about my day. There's days I need help out of bed. There's days that I can't shower. Before Christmas, I had an extremely bad relapse, and I was in bed for 4 weeks straight. But I still got up to go check my girls, and then I went back to bed because I had to. So there's an ongoing myth that my dad always told me. I have the same illnesses that he passed away of, and he said, if you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. And he always said that about my hands, and they hurt. They hurt. But if I don't do something and I just lay there, and it's not that I'm laying there feeling sorry for myself, I'm past all that. I went through that when I was 19 and 20, and I got diagnosed. I'm done with that. I know that I need to do something, but I need something to motivate me to do it because it hurts. I have no choice. I have to keep my babies alive. And everything we learned was from somebody that was a friend and literally watching videos online. And like, we dove full feet into it. And, you know, I just heard yesterday or today, the town of Lingle, they all got letters, and they don't even have to have permission anymore. They can just get them, and then they have to let, you know, the city know that they have them. Cheyenne, you can have them. Denver, you can even have roosters. Casper, you can have them. In Belgium, there is a town that gives all their residents chickens, and it has decreased their crime rate. It has improved their quality of life. The dependents, I mean, like the food pantries and stuff, they help a little bit, but we're just in that fine area where my mom gets Social Security. I don't qualify for anything because I had to take care of my daughter. I didn't work. And then he makes just a little bit too much for us to qualify for like government assistance. And so when we go to like Goshen Help, you're only allowed 20 items. Well, there for a while, you were only in the food pantry, you're only allowed 20 items, but one, they're expired. Two, they don't have eggs, which is a staple in my diet because of my surgery. And three, I had 5 for a long time. And 20 items when you can only get one of each, like one can of tuna is not going to feed 5 people. But I was getting 4 to 5 eggs daily. And when I had 4 to 5 eggs daily, I was able to always have that. You know what I mean? I could always have a bag of potatoes. You know, there's been tons of studies since the pandemic on how they have helped with emotional support. And people have really turned to them as emotional support animals. And so, and we do, you know, our neighbors more than happy to testify to the fact that we keep it clean, we keep it raked, you know. We've done a lot of work on my parents' yards. They're both disabled. My dad was. And we have people, the daycare center from the hospital walks over to our yard to see all the new stuff we put out. And chickens, and they call our house the museum, you know, because we've really tried to put some effort and work into it. I don't even want to go outside anymore. Like, I don't. I miss my babies a lot, and I just want to be considered. I mean, we're 2 blocks from the line. My doctor will do anything, both physical. My doctor, Kristen Wilkes at Banner. I have a specialist for my Dr. Schneider for my RA, he said the same thing. Dr. Allen, my neurologist, who I've seen for years, just found out I got new lesions on my spine. I'm not moving like I was because I have no want or desire to do anything right now. So I just appreciate you guys listening. I really do.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it. That was very informational. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda, we are now into the action items. Item number 1 is to declare an emergency regarding the air compressor and fill station for SCBA for the Torrington Volunteer Fire Department. Staff is requesting approval to purchase a replacement air compressor and fill station. And I see that we have Fire Chief Luis Correa back there. Could you come forward, Chief? Thank you, Chief. And when we discussed this previously at a previous meeting, so if you would just give us the basics and
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. So yeah, our
fill station for our SCBA air packs for the layman. Is an essential piece of equipment that we are in need of. This current one has served us for about 20 years, if I'm correct, if I was told correctly. We're no longer able to get parts to service it, and so at this point we are without a way to fill our air packs, our air bottles for our breathing apparatus if we were ever to have to go in.
Okay. Councilman Patterson?
Well, I was going to say, we've already been pretty well informed from the previous work session, so I think, I'm certainly in favor of this. Procedurally, do I need to make a motion to declare an emergency or to approve the purchase? Two separate motions?
Yes, we need an emergency so we can circumvent some of the bidding requirements.
But, Mr. Eddington, one separate motion to declare the emergency and then another motion to approve the purchase?
Yes, please.
I would move to approve, or, no, to declare the emergency, not approve. Declare the emergency.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Patterson to declare the emergency as set forth in item 1. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion about that declaration of an emergency? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of declaring an emergency as set forth in item 1 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the emergency is declared. Now I would entertain a second motion to approve the purchase.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the purchase of the air compression filler device as discussed in our budget work session.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Deal to approve the air compressor and fill station for SCBA. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion, gentlemen?
Do we need to put a dollar amount on this? Does it have to have a dollar amount on it or anything?
I think we still are finding out what that dollar amount is.
Yeah.
Yep.
As we discussed at the budget session, I recall it was 41.5.
That's our half, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, so I received, on May 16th, I received a quote from MES, and it's, no, sorry. Yeah, so the quote that I got was for $83,000 and $83,026, which the rural district,
50-50
fire district
split.
would be reimbursing half of that cost.
Okay. Is the pending motion sufficient, or do we need an amount?
I don't think we need an amount.
Okay. And I've lost track. I have a motion and a second. Is any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the purchase of the air compressor and fill station for SCBA as set forth in item 1 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the approval of that purchase passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right. Next item on the agenda is from the amendment, item 1A, the golf course RV park, to set the fee and set the rules for that. And I would ask Mr. Dent to come forward. And for the record, we have David Dent from the golf course.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So on that front page is a set of rules that we would like to implement into the RV park. On the next few pages are just examples of what that sign will look like. Chief Johnson has made a suggestion on quiet time, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. on the use of some verbiage there, so we'll follow through with that. But other than that, if there was no other change that anybody has seen on there that they would suggest, you can look at the other pages for examples of what those signs will look like, because we want those to be similar, but obviously in a different area that would suggest that it's a golf course. And the price that we want to set is $25 per night. And that's what we're here to try to approve.
Okay.
And I might also add that the RV road is in, has been in for a while. Trees are trimmed, areas mowed, 750 amp posts are in, and the gate that is, the first gate is there. We can't lock the campers in, so we had to move another gate down a bit. And so if there's campers in there, we can lock that gate. They leave the big gate open.
And David, there's 7 spots out there?
750 amp spots, right. And the lighting is in as well, too. So it's ready to go. We just need to approve the amount.
And it's my understanding we came here and amended this because you have prospective renters.
5 as of about 2 hours ago for this actual weekend.
And I obviously know more about this because I was at the staff meeting, but, so they're not going to be locked in.
Not gonna be locked
They
in.
can leave the golf course itself, but then there's a fence and a gate, so they cannot travel up to where the buildings are once the golf course is closed.
Potentially, if they want in, they'll get in. But yes, the gate on the road itself is there, and it's a deterrent with a stop sign on it and reflector tape, so even at night, they'd see it.
And just make it, and Chief Johnson mentioned at staff meeting this morning, on page 1 of the rules, it's probably better to go with, rather than use the word profanity, to use no disorderly conduct, and that can be changed.
Yes.
To add that phraseology.
Absolutely.
Rather than profanity.
Sure. And this will be handed out to each RVer as well as being posted when we do put the signs up. They'll still get this.
Okay.
And they'll have to check into the golf course when they do that.
And you and your crew are going to be responsible for maintenance of all of that?
Absolutely. We do it now.
And one more question, and I'll certainly let anybody else ask questions. And the fee of $25, that is the same fee as we charge for the spots at Pioneer Park.
It is.
And I know that's helpful to everybody concerned, including office staff, so they don't have to try to think about different fees at different spots. Okay. All right, gentlemen, any questions for?
I have one question, Mr. Mayor, and it concerns the phone numbers, Dave, and I'm wondering if we need to add dispatch in there for.
Yeah, on one of those signs, in fact, that's a good question because that does need to be added to the front page where if need be, we'll put that in there. That's okay? Because it's on those other signs. but-
Non-emergency dispatch.
On emergency type things. That's what I would imagine it would be. Right.
It says no alcoholic beverages without permit. What kind of permit are we talking about?
Just a deterrent. I mean, they can buy it at the country club and take it out on the golf course. They just can't bring it through the gate.
You have a problem with that, Chief, or concern?
No, I was just going to add that that's a complication with that location because when Sylvia can speak to this as well or better than I can, but the country club has a liquor license that includes that entire area. So folks would be prohibited from bringing alcohol into a licensed, permitted area. So that would be a complication we'd need to avoid. Ms. Sylvia, did I state that accurately? Thank you.
So
So that's the entire golf course is the permitted area.
Yep.
I just see the complications of, guy comes in with his RV, he's got beer in it anyway, or whatever. You know?
I wouldn't be able to say yes or no. I'm not going to search their RV.
I mean, well, you know.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
You go to the lake and everybody that camps out has beer, whatever, and that's,
I mean, the same signs as at Pioneer Park.
yeah, same, I don't see any difference, so I don't know how you're going to regulate it, I guess.
I mean, the same situations down at Pioneer Park where I don't know how you'd regulate that, and the individual has to be responsible.
And there is prohibition for disorderly conduct and abusive language and such.
And the same thing with no glass containers. I mean, there's a lot of things that come in glass containers. I don't know, I just don't know how you're gonna,
I don't either. I mean, that's across the nation, that's probably a problem that everybody sees, so. It's just being a responsible individual and on our part and mention it to them when they come through the gate to get on the property.
probably be little to no enforcement,
Oh, yeah.
unless it gets.
I have very little tolerance for ignorance.
I mean, guy goes up to the country club, buys the beer up there, and then brings it back. It still says without permit, so where do they get the permit?
Well, the permit is owned by the country club.
So someone could purchase a drink or two, or however many, at the country club, walk back over to his RV, and he'd be legitimate under the permit, right?
I would assume that,
'Cause
As
you
long as they
can-
stay on the golf course
as long
property.
as they don't take it through the gate.
As long as it's purchased at the.
Right, as long as it's purchased at the country club and it's not taken out the gate. And we tell them, I can regulate that at a golf cart when they bring a cooler. I'll search the cooler because it's obvious. And I make them put it back in the car.
Yeah, but you're not gonna be there all night.
I'm not going to be at Pioneer Park all night. I mean, I get what you're saying, but that's a difficult one to regulate for anybody, at any RV park, or any golf course, or any winery for that fact.
And, did you have more, Dennis?
No,
And I just want to mention this, I appreciate your motivation here. I know your motivation is to increase the income for the golf course.
Sure.
And to bring more people in to see the golf course and use the golf course and all of that, and the likelihood of a guy spending $25 to park there for the night, there's a high likelihood he's going to take advantage of the golf course. He
Absolutely.
and whoever's with him.
That's the intention. And by the way, it is the #1 public golf course in the state.
I knew you'd say that.
The only thing I noticed is at Pioneer Park, it does say proper footwear and clothing, but are you allowing nudity then?
No.
river ain't too far from there anyway.
What's that?
You skinny dip in the river ain't too far from there.
If they get in that river, they probably not getting out.
But the disorderly conduct covers
It does.
a multitude of sins. so-
It does, and I think you see that probably at any RV park, or even your pool.
I think, Mr. Mayor, the alcohol issue could be clarified by simply stating no outside alcoholic beverages permitted.
And we have that posted right at the front of the golf shop as well, too, so if that needs to be changed on here, that's definitely doable.
Because you could still purchase the beverages at the club. You're on course property.
That does clarify it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can make these changes to the rules.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the golf course RV park rate. And does the signage need approved, or is it just a formality?
I think that we need a motion to approve the rate, the fee, and the rules. And that should
Okay.
cover
I
it.
agree.
That would be my motion then, to approve the golf course RV park rate and rules as presented.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Victorin to approve the RV park rates or fee and set the rules. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the golf course RV park to set the fee at $25 and set the rules as we discussed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the fee and the rules are approved.
Thank you,
you,
Mayor and
Mr. Dan.
Council. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is Vive Cable TV franchise. Item number 2, under action items, Vive is requesting a 3-year extension of the franchise commencing June 1, 2024, and terminating May 31, 2027. The temporary extension of the franchise approved by the City Council on May 4th, 2021, will expire on May 31, 2024. And Mr. Estes, I would first invite you up. I believe you know sort of the history of the franchise that's been allowed to vive by the City of Torrington. Can you just give us a little bit of the history as you're aware?
The stuff I was aware of, Eddington and the past mayors and council have had discussions with Vive because we had some issues. They've been a very good partner since those issues were brought up. Anytime we've asked them to fix something, and I know they put a lot of money in infrastructure in the last few years here, it's way better. I mentioned a few areas we're having concern with right now that he's going to address, I think, very soon. So, staff, I think, would be in favor of the agreement extension.
And I just wanted, and they're requesting a 3-year extension. I have a copy of an email from you, Mr. Estes, to Jonathan Lane, who is the, I guess, regional manager out of Abilene, Kansas, I think. And I met with him 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we have Mr. Mike Smith here, who is the district manager. He actually lives in Douglas, and we'll probably invite you up in a minute. But there was a very cordial email between Mr. Estes and Mr. Lane today, and you were included on that, Mr. Smith. And Mr. Estes listed some concerns that the city had. 20th Avenue and East D, a low-hanging main line. Need to see what can be done about that. 181 and 191 Lupine. Lines to the home is not in the easement. This has been an ongoing complaint from homeowners for quite a while. For a long time, the cable was just strung across the ground at 181 to get to 191, and the homeowner had to lift the line each time he mowed. Someone did bury it, and it is only 1 inch below the surface, and then parts of it outside the easement. That has come up again because the 191 resident is planning to put in a garage, and the line is in the way. He is waiting on someone to get it easement so he can build. But I want to say that there was a good response from John Lane, who said, Dennis, we can get these taken care of. I added Mike, my local manager, on the email to help. So thank you for you and Mr. Lane for that quick response. I know from talking to Dana Utes, our electrical superintendent, he is very pleased with the contractor that you guys are employing on pole work around here. Windy Hill contractor.
Windy City.
Windy
Hill.
City.
Yeah, Windy Hill.
Windy Hill. And I know Mr. Utes has told me that he's very pleased with the work that Windy Hill is doing in the area for you guys. All right, Mr. Smith, would you like to come up?
Sure.
And for the record, this is Mike Smith from Douglas. He's the district manager for
Operations manager for Wyoming, basically. So
Okay.
So we operate 4 cities in Wyoming. So I got everything with Dennis. Actually, the 20th Street, we'll have that fixed tomorrow. I've already texted my guys and told them to bring an extension arm so we can make sure we can get that corrected tomorrow, because I went by there, it's just a broken arm. And then he brought up another one on Haynes?
Down on Haynes.
Yeah, I got that written down there too. I'm gonna check that out before I leave town to see what we gotta do to get that one raised up. And the gentleman on Lupine, basically, I have a contractor that I just am getting ready to hire for underground work. And I'm gonna have him just replace that main line and put it in an easement, and it'll be at the 2 to 3 feet depth, or minimum depth that we do on main line. So we won't have the temp RG11s out there anymore, or any of that stuff. So I reached out to that gentleman out there, but he didn't answer, so we left a voicemail with him. So if you hear some concerns from him again or something, I mean, we're on top of it, so.
That's the Lupine area.
Or Lupine, yeah.
Correct.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, any questions for Mr. Smith?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. I'm just curious, why only 3 years for your extension?
Well, typically, I think they decided to do a 3-year again. Normally, we try to do a 5 to a 10-year, but when we requested the 5-year the first time with the last mayor, they did not want to do, in fact, they almost only wanted to do a 1-year. They agreed to do a 3-year with us, so we just decided to just try to renew that 3-year.
And renew a good working relationship
Yeah,
with the city.
yep. And then I'm assuming if we can do another 3-year, then after that, well, maybe we'll try to do a 5, or what do you guys typically see with, I mean, I know like in Glen Rock, we have a 10-year agreement with them, you know, so, but we might try to just keep on having that good relationship with the city before we start to exceed that agreement, you know?
Okay. That answer your question, Councilman?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Mayor and Councilman Victor, and with all the data going in and all that stuff going in, it's just nice to see these vendors about every 3 years, because a lot of these vendors we never see until
Yeah.
something like this comes up. So it's good for us and the staff level. These guys come back once in a while,
Yep.
and then we can get a face-to-face with somebody.
That's a pretty workable term, the 3
Oh,
years.
yeah, these guys have been great since they started coming, and yeah, they've worked with us really well.
All right, and Councilman Victor, did you want to ask about that ordinance that you?
Well, the only other issue, and I'm not really stuck on it, but in the ordinance that's currently on our books, ordinance section 53680, it stipulates that your renewal shall be made no later than 6 months before the expiration of your franchise. I'm not so hung up on it, but it is in our ordinance. I don't know, were you aware of that?
I was not aware of that, no.
Okay.
So basically, that we need to try to request the renewal 6 months prior to
Yeah,
the
under-
expiration? Okay.
Under our ordinance, but Mr. Eddington, we could, part of the motion, waive that
Okay.
6-month notice, I believe. Does everybody see what we're talking about?
Yeah.
I'll just make sure I write that down so that doesn't happen next time.
So are you ready for a motion?
If, yes, I am.
Okay, I would move to approve the franchise, the extension of the franchise, and to waive the 6-month renewal, notification period.
All right. I have a motion on item number 2, the Vive Cable TV franchise. I have a motion from Councilman Patterson to approve the 3-year extension of the franchise commencing June 1, 2024, and waiving the 6-month notice for approval.
Second.
I have a second from Councilman Victor. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the 3-year extension of the franchise and waiving the 6-month notice fee for requesting the renewal signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that's approved.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Smith. Appreciate it. All right, next item on the agenda is item number 3, special event permit. Mariah Harkins with the Torrington Farmers Market is requesting special events permits for a series of second Saturday Torrington Farmers Market events to be held on August 10, 24, September 14, 24, October 12, 24, from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the City Lot 5 parking lot, and the applicant is requesting a waiver of the special event permit fees. And for this, I'd call on Chief Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The timing of this event makes it fairly simple to manage from a traffic and safety standpoint. They're starting setup at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning. The event starts at 7 and is done by 10. So the amount of traffic and pedestrian issues that we would have downtown for this would be very limited. They're looking to utilize the City Lot 5 parking lot. We think we can close that pretty safely with about 8 barricades, and then they're going to utilize some, just the inexpensive caution tape that you would get at Baumgauer's or any of the lumber yards to finish the job. They're looking for a couple of roll-offs, or roll-outs, I guess is the correct term. Ed Hawley and his team have graciously agreed to contribute those items and have them available for the team at the farmer's market. And I don't see any safety or community concerns that would make this inappropriate event to host.
And Chief Johnson, I know as part of this packet for requesting approval for special event permits, there's a page called notification of event, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 business owners in the area signed and agreed to it, and then one was notified about the special event permit request, right? So notice has been given to all those affected.
That's all that's required by ordinance, is that impacted businesses that would be in that area and would be open during the timeframe would have the opportunity to be notified. They can sign for approval, or they can not sign and come to council and speak if they wish.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, any questions for Chief Johnson?
And who is it that's putting this on?
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't hear your question.
Is this like the Go Goshen putting it on or something, or who's doing it?
My understanding is this is the farmer's market, and Ms. Mariah can probably answer that question better than I can. I don't believe it's associated directly with Go Goshen. Mariah, is that correct?
Not as like directly, we want to partner with Main Street, but, and I can come up and ask.
Yeah, if you would.
That might be better.
Right now?
Yeah, come on up. And we have coming to the podium Mariah Harkins.
Hello.
Hello.
So it is Torrington Farmers Market that is directly involved in the event. We do want to partner with Goshen Main Street and promote downtown shopping on that second Saturday and make it like a dual event. So we'll have the farmers market down there in the parking lot per your guys' decision, and then we'll promote downtown shopping as well. If you are downtown on Saturdays, the Bread Doctor is huge, and a lot of stores stay open on Saturdays, so we want to encourage just people to come out, grab Bread Doctor. We hope to have more food vendors at our farmers market and encourage local vendors to come down and serve food during that time, and just businesses to participate as well. So it's open to everyone.
And I think Chief Johnson told me that you're sort of partnering with the new owners of the Old Moose.
Yes, Old Moose has, and when I have talked to him, as I am the chamber director at Go Goshen, and when I have talked to him, he's interested in creating an artisan market, which he is actually doing this Saturday. So he's pretty much just going to put on his artisan market during the time of the farmers market as well.
And do you have any idea at this point how many, I guess, vendors you'll have in that parking lot?
I actually haven't measured it out, but we currently have, or like I should say last year, we had about 20 vendors approximately on average at Jordan Park on Thursdays. So I'm hoping we'll have those vendors come back. And so that'll be our goal, is to at least get 20 vendors, having our vendors come back, and then also encouraging other vendors to come by. We're hoping to get our local food trucks involved as well, and just make it a big community event for everyone.
And that's towards the end of the summer where the weather hopefully is a little cooler?
Yeah.
Are you charging these vendors to participate?
We do charge the vendors a $25 fee for the whole season. So they will, if they would just be a farmer's market vendor for $25 for the season, I think there's about 14 days we'll have, because we still would like to be in Jordan Park on Thursdays. But just on that second Saturday, we would like to be in that parking lot.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
All right, it's my understanding that back in the day, Torrington Farmers Market used to be on Saturday mornings downtown. And it's my understanding that there's a lot of markets, right? And Saturday morning's pretty busy for the area vendors to do that. So this is an attempt to try to bring that back, so to speak. Is that true? Is that my understanding? But we can't necessarily just have Torrington farmers markets every Saturday, unfortunately, because there's other markets that the vendors go to.
Correct. So the time is actually because we have vendors that go to Morrill as well. So we're working with those vendors to give them a time on Saturdays. And that's why we're on Thursdays as well. We're kind of working around the markets that our vendors also go to, because some of our vendors, that's their income. So we work around them. And so the 7 to 10 would be for them, and then they can go to Morrill if they would like. But we would encourage them to stay, and we hope to kind of extend it out. Just right now, we would like 7 to 10, but we would like to extend it out to a longer period of time for our vendors, but we're just kind of messing around right now.
So this
See.
is kind of an experiment for
Experiment.
this year, 7 to 10.
Yes, we, in the history, we've had the farmer's market on Main Street, and that went well, but it wasn't really cohesive for the businesses as well. So we hope to just be a partner and like symbiotic in a way where we work with each other, but we're not getting in each other's way.
You're not blocking traffic and things.
Correct. Yeah, they'll still have their front row parking, and then we can be in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And it promotes the downtown area instead of City Park, or it was in the past, or Pioneer Park, or some other location. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So we would create. I'm working on a map of Main Street, and we'll be handing those out. Also, we'll have sandwich boards on Main Street, just like in front of 21st and Main, just to show people that there's more to do on Main Street than the shops, and there's more to do than just the farmers market. I guess the kind of idea was inspired by Scottsbluff. They have where they stay open later on one Friday a month, and that's really been encouraged by both businesses and the community.
And Mariah, I think you touched on this. It's my understanding that the farmers market will continue every week at Jordan Park, except these 3 Saturdays.
Correct. So we are going to kick off Fair Day. Stacia, one of the people on my board, she's also here today. She's creating the farmers market / artisans market during Fair Day, and then that will be August 2nd. That'll be our kickoff day. We're going to promote the farmers market, and then we're going to encourage people to come out that second Saturday to the farmers market, hopefully in the parking lot. And then each Thursday, except on a second Saturday, will be in Jordan from 4 to 6. We hope to extend it to 7, just so people that are getting off work can also go to the farmers market if they'd like.
Right. Mr. Estes.
Mayor, I just want to make you aware that public bathrooms will not be open until 7, and then if there's extra cleaning like there is on that music on Main, we might have to deal with that down the road, but we can watch it and see how it all works out. But
Okay.
it's going to get a lot of heavier use than we normally would have on Saturday.
I'd be happy to go in and what we would do with Go Goshen, we would go in and restock if that's okay.
Sure. The more.
Work it out with her, we just don't open until 7. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Dennis.
So you've made Mariah aware.
But, Mr. Mayor, if I could, and along Dennis's lines, that brings us to kind of the elephant in the room, right? The waiver of the fee. And per our ordinance that we just enacted a few weeks ago, there's a process in determining the special event, right? Whether it's a community nonprofit event or the regular special event. So we as a council have to decide if this event fits that criteria. If not, the special event fee applies. But along those lines, if the council defines your event as a community or nonprofit special event, we may ask you to reimburse the city for expended costs that we may incur. Is your event willing to accept those charges?
Yeah.
Millions. No. That's a good question, Councilman Victor, and thank you for raising that.
Thank you for your questions. Is there any more questions?
I don't think so. Thank you, Mariah.
Thank you.
Anybody have any further questions for Chief Johnson? All right, hearing none. So I believe I will entertain a motion to approve the special event permit set forth in item 3, but we are not approving the waiver of the fee.
Well, that's up to a majority of the council, but I think we either need to find that they are a community nonprofit event, or if we don't declare that, then they're subject to the special event permit fee, and perhaps the chief could enlighten us on that process.
I guess I'm not sure what information you want from me, but we would need to look as to whether the event qualifies under the ordinance. I think it could qualify under the ordinance based on the definition and what Mariah stated. I did not seek any recompense for bathroom usage in this because of the estimated number of folks that they listed on the special events permit at 25, which is not substantially, at least in my view, more than what we would see on a regular Saturday in downtown Torrington. If that event grew to a substantive amount, we would have to, I mean, obviously with the concerts, that's a significant impact, and it requires additional cleaning. So my view was that this would be commensurate with regular cleaning and wouldn't require extra materials or extra time from city workers. In chatting with Ed, his team is able to make a pretty quick drop-off of barricades and a pretty quick pickup of 8 barricades. That's a very small amount of barricades for what we would normally do. I suspect there probably is a dollar amount there that we could ask for if that was deemed appropriate by council, and Ed could, I think Ed's here tonight, he could offer insight on that as is appropriate. That is a level of service that we have traditionally provided without asking for compensation from a community event. Should we be dropping off 30, 40 barricades and helping to set them up with the intent and structure of the ordinance, that would be something that we would ask for participation in the cost of. So I hope that answers your question. If you would like me to get some numbers on the barricades or some numbers on trying to figure out the restroom cleaning, I'd be happy to do so.
And Mr. Mayor, this question probably pertains to Mr. Eddington. Seems like we need 2 motions then. The first to consider whether or not this is a community event and falls under the ordinance for a fee waiver, and then the motion to approve the permit.
I think that could be a good procedure, yes.
All right. I would entertain a motion to find that the event set forth in item 3 falls under the ordinance, special permit ordinance as a community event, and would allow us to waive the fee.
I would move, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I have that motion from Councilman Victor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Deal. Any further discussion on finding that this is a community event that wherein the fee can be waived? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of finding that the event set forth in item 3 is indeed a community event, which allows us to waive the special event permit fees, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, it's a community event and fees may be waived. So that's the first motion. Do I have a motion to approve the special event permit set forth in item 3 itself?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move.
I have a motion from Councilman Patterson to approve the special event permit set forth in item 3. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Deal. Any further discussion, gentlemen? I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the special event permit set forth in item 3 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that special event permit is approved. And thank you, Councilman Victor, and the rest of you gentlemen for working with that new ordinance that we put a lot of time and effort into.
Mayor, if I could just,
Yes,
is
sir.
there any additional information you folks would like from me or any costs that you need me to outline or put together?
For me personally, I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but I think if there's a relationship between the buildings and ground supervisor and the event coordinators to work out some agreement with that restroom, I think we'd be pretty well off that way.
I would agree with that.
So that's a yes, you'd like me to get some costs for participation?
I don't think so.
Okay, sorry.
I think if they could just work out an agreement somehow, whether they restock expendables or if they themselves do the cleaning, whatever.
Perfect.
They
Thank
can
you.
work that out with Dennis.
All right. Ready to move on? All right, we're on item number 4 of action items. Ordinance on third reading relating to regular meetings. Mr. Eddington, would you please read the ordinance by title?
It's an ordinance amending and reenacting Section 2.04.010 of the Torrington Municipal Code 2024 revisions relating to regular meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington, and I'm the reference for this. This is a ordinance on third reading to change the time of meeting for council twice a month from 7 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. We have had discussion, significant amount of discussion on first reading, a little bit, but not much on second reading. Is there any councilman who have any questions for me or for Mr. Eddington? Or for Ms. Strecker or anybody else? Going once, going twice. I would call for a motion to approve on third reading the ordinance relating to regular meetings, set forth in item 4.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make the motion to approve the ordinance on third reading.
I have a motion from Councilman Deal to approve the ordinance on third reading relating to regular meetings. Do I have a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that.
Second from Councilman Patterson. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on that. All those in favor of approving on third reading the ordinance relating to regular meetings as set forth in item 4 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
That was 3-2 to approve. Can't see Miss Sylvia. Okay. All right.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I could ask a question
Yes, sir.
concerning the ordinance. Will this ordinance be published in time for the next council meeting?
That is an excellent question, and it came up at staff meeting this morning. And my understanding is it will indeed be published. Not sure the exact date, but it'll be before the June 4th,
This Friday.
this Friday.
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll be effective on the day it's published.
And if I could make a request from the news media in the room to alert the public that our meetings have now changed the time, the start time, if that could be made public via your methods, please.
Thank you. And that's June 4 is the first council meeting in June. All right, thank you, folks. Second page of the agenda this evening. Item 5, ordinance on third reading annexing the wireless edition. And Mr. Eddington, could you please read the ordinance by title?
It's an ordinance annexing within the corporate limits of the city of Torrington, Wyoming, real property to be known as the wireless edition.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington. Mr. Estes?
Mayor, there's been no comments on this. Staff would recommend approval on this.
Any questions for Mr. Eddington or for Mr. Estes?
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the reading on ordinance on third reading.
I have a motion from, Councilman Kelly, item number 5, to approve the ordinance on third reading annexing the wireless edition. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for vote. All those in favor of approving the ordinance on third reading annexing the wireless edition signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that ordinance is approved on third reading. Item number 6 is related, ordinance on third reading, establishing I-1 zoning for lots 1 and 2, wireless addition. Mr. Eddington, would you please read the ordinance by title?
It's an ordinance annexing and reenacting section 18.16.020 of the Torrington Municipal Code 2024 revisions relating to the city of Torrington, Wyoming, amending the zoning district map by establishing I-1 zoning for attractive land.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington. Mr. Estes.
Same, Mayor, we've had no public comment. Staff would recommend approval on third reading.
Gentlemen, any questions for Mr. Eddington or Mr. Estes?
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the ordinance on third reading for the change to I-1 zoning.
I have a motion from Councilman Deal and item number 6, ordinance on third reading, establishing I-1 zoning for those lots. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for vote. All those in favor in item 6 of approving on the ordinance on third reading, establish I-1 zoning for lots 1 and 2 of wireless addition, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that ordinance is approved on third reading. Next item on the agenda is item 7, ordinance on second reading. And again, I'd ask Mr. Eddington if he would please read the ordinance by title.
An ordinance amending and reenacting section 13.20.016 of the Torrington Municipal Code 2024 revisions relating to authorizing and directing execution of the amended and restated total power requirements power purchase agreement by the city of Torrington, Wyoming with the Municipal Energy Agency of Nebraska.
All right, and Mr. Eddington, I'll stick with you. We have purchased or much of our electricity from MEAN, the Municipal Energy Agency of Nebraska, and I believe this year they sort of revised their contract that had not been changed for 40 years.
That's correct. They kind of updated the language. We attended a little webinar, if you will, on it, and we thought it was reasonable, and this is the ordinance that basically authorizes you to sign that Schedule M contract.
All right, and just for review, I understand it's a 25-year contract.
Correct.
It's a long time, but the other one was a long time too. And the changes sort of benefit the city, if you want to look at it that way, because after 25 years, we can give notice and get out of the contract, correct?
You have to give notice of, and then you can get out after 25 years.
Okay. All right. So actually, that seems like a long term, but that's a benefit that we didn't have under the previous contract.
That's right. It's just the investment in these things is so high, millions and millions and millions of dollars. They need to have that time to amend their portfolio.
Okay. And I know we discussed this fairly substantially on first reading, and no one spotted any reason not to go ahead and approve. So, gentlemen, I certainly ask Mr. Eddington any questions you may have.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. Does
Yes, sir.
does the contract change any of the makeup of power purchased in terms of the generation of power? Does it change that pie, if you will? So much power is generated from hydroelectric, so much from fossil fuels, et cetera?
I don't believe it's a total requirements contract, so we get what they provide. They're under a few guidelines, federal environmental green guidelines to expand their green power, if you will, each year. But I don't think it changes what we get from them.
Okay.
It's fungible electricity, right?
Yes.
And Mrs. Strecker, you'll I called it insurance. We passed I call it insurance. So if we ever have to purchase X percent of renewable energy, by agreeing to that, if you gentlemen recall that, by agreeing to that, that sort of locked us in and protected us, so it wouldn't substantially affect us if the powers that be, that we don't have any control over, required the increase in percentage of renewables, for instance. Do you remember what that was called?
Green Energy Program.
Green Energy Program. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Do you recall that, you guys? Okay. Does that answer your question, Councilman Victor?
Yes, and Mr. Mayor, last time I actually read the majority of the boilerplate contract, much to my chagrin. This is the same contract. It has not changed. I just glanced at it this time.
No, other than the language, the updated language.
But are you talking from first reading to this?
First reading to this.
No,
yeah.
this is the
Yeah,
same one.
no changes.
Exactly the same.
Okay.
Good question, though. All right, if no one has any further questions for Mr. Eddington, I would entertain a motion on item number 7 to approve on second reading the ordinance relating to the power purchase agreement with Mean.
Mr. Mayor, I'd so move.
I have a motion from Councilman Patterson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Do we have any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, item 7, all those in favor of approving the ordinance on second reading relating to the power purchase agreement with Municipal Energy Agency of Nebraska, MEAN, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that ordinance is approved on second reading. Next item on the agenda is item number 8, vehicle purchase approval. Torrington Police Department is requesting approval to purchase 2 used vehicles to serve as a command vehicle and as a patrol vehicle. The total expected cost to purchase and outfit the 2 used vehicles is projected at $38,900. And for this item, I would call on Chief Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is essentially a continuation of the discussion we had at the last budget meeting related to vehicles at the police department. We have the money in this budget year, and we believe both vehicles are going to be available in this budget year, that it makes sense to go ahead and move forward with the purchase of those vehicles during this budget cycle. We would still look to, well, as Ms. Strecker will talk about here in a little bit, related to purchasing 1 additional vehicle in the next budget year. In terms of the details on the vehicles, the first is the 2016 Dodge Durango that's being brought out of service from a former county EM vehicle. The price that Emergency Manager Bozeman has quoted for us is $22,500. It has about 46,000 miles on it. It's in good condition. Brian Evans has taken a look at it. It does have some damage due to decal removal on the front and rear. We're going to get that repaired prior to, or as part of placing the vehicle in service. We actually located a really good deal on a law enforcement storage system for the back that will save us a significant amount of money over buying a brand new command setup for the vehicle. We can get that for $1,500. And we're looking at a total cost on that vehicle of $25,600. We believe that is a very appropriate price to get that vehicle in service. I tried to do some research in terms of values. I'll be upfront with you. I think these are accurate, but there's really not a police package button to push on Kelley Blue Book. And the other 2 kind of offsetting circumstances, if you will, every law enforcement vehicle, or in this case, emergency management vehicle, has some damage done as part of the upfitting. They drill holes in funny places and poke wires all over the place. But there's also additional value to us from the standpoint of we're purchasing these vehicles with the majority of the emergency equipment already in place. And in both cases, that would be thousands of dollars. So, I mean, if just kind of doing a best case or best I can comparison for private party value on this 2016 Dodge, we'd be looking at $23,955 on Kelly Blue Book. So I feel like we're getting a fair price, considering that it needs bumper paint, and it's still an advantage to us, even though there's some damage there, that we're getting that emergency vehicle equipment, and it's essentially ready to roll from the moment that we sign on the dotted line or send the check over to the county. The second vehicle is the Chevy Tahoe that Emergency Manager Kenyon is currently utilizing. That's a 2010 with 93,000 miles on it. It's a law enforcement package. I should clarify that that's kind of a law enforcement service package, not a law enforcement pursuit package. In this age range of Tahoe, the law enforcement pursuit package actually had a lowered chassis and two-wheel drive, which does us no good. We prefer the four-wheel drive and the raised chassis, which is in the service package that this Tahoe has. It's got about 93,000 miles on it. It's got the 5.3-liter V8 in it, which is a good solid engine, lasts many years, and it's had a lot of work done on it recently to bring it to good condition. We're looking at doing a little bit of maintenance on the AC, and then we've set aside $1,500 for a cage to be installed in the vehicle. I've been reaching out to the folks at Highway Patrol. I think I have a cage located that we'll be able to get for substantially better than that, maybe even free 99, which is our favorite price for everything. And so really it would just require getting the cage installed. We have a vault for the back of it, and then we just need to get it marked. Mr. Kenyon has been gracious. We got a free light bar from Highway Patrol, and he's been gracious enough to integrate that into the current lighting package. So we've got a great light bar with takedowns, everything ready to go on the vehicle. It books on private party value with the best that we can do in terms of comparison at $11,060. So again, we feel like we're making a fair investment there for what we're getting. I think that's really all I have to offer, but if you got any questions, I'd certainly be happy to stand for them.
Thank you, Chief Johnson. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for Chief Johnson? Just one.
Sir.
Oh, maybe more than one.
It's okay.
You have the money in your budget this year to do these purchases?
Yes, we do. We've been advantaged by a handful of circumstances. One, we got a great deal on a settlement for a vehicle that was a total loss. Very sadly, one of our Dodge Chargers sustained, I almost said that with a straight face. One of our Dodge Chargers sustained significant hail damage that required it to be a total loss, and so we received a nice settlement for that. Two, we retained salvage on a Ford Explorer that had hail damage and had a great deal on making that work. So we were able to be cash flow positive on both of those transactions. We also received some seizure funds that we are dedicating to the to the purpose of purchasing the vehicles, and we had a little bit of room also in getting a better deal than anticipated on the current bid that's out for the new vehicle, which has actually already been awarded, and we're just waiting on delivery. So the combination of those factors allowed us to have a reasonable amount of cash left over, and we'll even be able to carry quite a bit forward into next year to offset the cost of the vehicle purchase that we've proposed for the 24-25 budget, or the 25 budget year.
And just to reiterate, if council approves this tonight, then in 25, there will only be one request for purchase of police vehicle in 25.
We've changed that from 2 vehicles to 1 with the offset of buying these 2 used ones that we think will be very serviceable.
I just have one question.
Sir.
On the 2016 Durango, it says the vehicle is a former emergency management vehicle for Goshen County. I assume we're buying that from Goshen County.
Yes, sir.
Okay, down on the other one, the 2010 Tahoe, it says this vehicle is a former EM vehicle for the city of Torrington. Who are we buying it from?
That would be the subject of the executive session.
Okay.
This evening.
Okay.
Good answer. All right, any further questions?
So if that's the case, do we have to wait before we make a motion on this, till after the executive session?
You could pass it subject to an affirmative vote out of executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington. That satisfy you, Dennis?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
All right. Any further questions, gentlemen, for Mr. Eddington or Chief Johnson?
Just a comment, I appreciate your frugality and the thorough layout of your presentation here.
All right. Item number 8. I would entertain a motion to allow for the purchase of the 2 vehicles described by Chief Johnson in item number 8, subject to the result of the executive session in item 15 on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I just have a question. Could the motion just be made to approve the purchase of the 2 vehicles and whatever may come in executive session would supersede that?
You're going to have to take action after the executive session. That's why I just said it would be subject to that. Because if you take negative action, then it's not going to go. So that's why it's subject. You still have a choice to make after executive session.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? All right.
I would so move.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Victorin. I have a motion by Councilman Victorin on item number 8, vehicle purchase approval of the 2 vehicles described by Chief Johnson, subject to council's action on item number 15, the executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second from Councilman Patterson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for vote. Item number 8. All in favor of the approval of the purchase of the 2 vehicles, subject to council's decision in executive session in item 15 on this agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, those vehicles are approved, subject to council's decision in the executive session in item 15. Next item on the agenda is item number 9, resolution number 2024-3. Mr. Eddington, would you please read the resolution by title?
It's a resolution authorizing submission of 5 Wyoming Homeland Security grant applications for the purchase of essential equipment for the city of Torrington.
All right, and I see we have Emergency Management Director Chuck Kenyon here. And sir, if you'd come up and explain this to us.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is the annual grant period for the State Homeland Security grant program, and we've submitted 5 grants on behalf of the city for the equipment listed before you. I seek approval or final resolution of the issue. And I'll stand for questions regarding the equipment.
So this resolution this evening is just a resolution, council approving and I signing, authorizing you to make the applications.
Yes, sir. It's jumping through hoops to make sure the state knows that you know what I'm doing.
Okay. All right, we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's. And I believe at budget session, didn't we have it seems like we had a discussion on the fuel and service trailer for the generators. Is my memory correct? Okay.
We did talk about that, Mr. Mayor, and I thought that was a wise thing to apply for. We have a lot of emergency standby generators around the city, and in inclement weather or what have you, we could deploy that asset to refill those generators.
Mayor and Council, what we're trying to do there is the thought process is to take one more step that can be taken away from us in a sense by losing a vendor. If we are in a situation where we have to refuel the generators right now, and actually in routine use of the generators, the local vendor is coming out with the truck and fueling the generators. Now, we're still buying the fuel from him. It's just that we are controlling when the fuel goes into the generators as needed. And also, if there is the incident in Torrington, such as a long-term power outage where we need to run those generators for long extended periods of time, we can fill those generators by using the fuel that's in storage underground at the city shop, which we've added a generator to the city shop to run those fuel pumps. And then we're taking care of this whole situation from cradle to grave, so to speak. The other part of this is that when we have prolonged fire incidents locally and in the area, outside of city limits even, wildland incidents, we end up with the need for fuel on site. This generator could be used as part of that emergency management with the fuel being charged back to that incident or back to the entities that are receiving the fuel. Part of the specifications of this trailer is a meter built on the fuel pump itself that pumps the bulk fluid out so that we can track where the thing's being used, et cetera, and who's using the fuel. The city has, I think, 12 generators, 9 of which are owned specifically by the water department for water usage. The other 3 are City Hall, ambulance base, and fire station. So the thought process, the discussions occurred with Department Head Troxel from the Water Department is that as the Water Department does their routine maintenance on the generators, which is making sure they're running, making sure they're going through their exercise cycles, checking fuel levels, they would use this and that would keep the fuel fresh in the trailer so that the diesel is not becoming stagnant or growing algae. And they would also take care of the fire station, the EMS building, and City Hall with those things. And we don't have a written policy set up or anything like that yet, or an agreement with that, but we'll wait and see if we get the grant and move forward with that.
It sounds like a well-thought-out plan.
I'd like to think so, but that might be immodest.
All right. Next item, Mr. Kenyon, is the dual-band mobile radio for emergency management coordinator. That's
Nebraska is setting up a statewide system, has set up a statewide communication system running in the 800 meg. Most of all of our communications in the Torrington area, most of Wyoming, run on a VHF band about 155 to 165 megahertz. We routinely, our fire departments routinely cross the border each way. We have had, before we had our own tower, Scottsbluff brought their tower over for fires. On wildland fires, we routinely meet with Sioux County, Banner County, out of the Goshen County units, Scottsbluff County. We're crossing those lines to help each other out. Emergency management also over in Scottsbluff is running on the 800. So the thought process is that we would be able to more easily communicate between the entities. I would note that the fire department recently replaced 12 radios, Chief? 10 radios on their response units, and they were installing dual band radios for that purpose. And the county units have dual band radios also. So that's the thought process for the it'd be a second radio in the EM rig.
okay. And if gentlemen have questions, I'll just move through this. Then the third item is the mobile generator and light trailer.
It's looking to solve a problem that we could have in the event of a long-term power outage again or some type of significant incident. What we're talking about is a trailer that has a small generator on it that could power other things in addition to the lighting, and then having a lighting tower. You may have seen these on construction sites or road construction sites where they're running a flagger at night or something like that. They want to light an area. Again, it's planning for the worst and hoping for the best. Hope we never ever use it. It could also be used for crime scene investigation if Chief Johnson had some type of an outdoor incident where he needed to study a larger area. The fire department has performed this duty in the past, which works great in the summertime, but it doesn't work so great to take the engine out in the wintertime just to run a generator for lighting, because you end up having possibility of freeze damage to the water system. And the other thing is when we have the outdoor events, such as the Music on Main, if we have a dark area or someplace, we could have a peripheral area that the police would be able to do things like check IDs and stuff like that, you know, a lighted area. So again, piece of emergency response equipment that maybe we wouldn't have a heavy use for, but sometimes you don't know you're going to use it till you actually have the ability to use it. If you know it's available, it ends up showing up more often.
And that sort of goes along with the variable messaging display trailer where you can
Absolutely.
put messages out to the public in the dark of night.
Yeah, that is a similar type of situation. It would be night or day, and it's a similar situation where we're trying to get some type of message out to the public. Maybe it's Main Street's closed for the farmer's market on Saturday. You know, we can put that out on Main Street saying this is going to be closed for the morning. We could do, you know, if we had a boil order in the water or something like that, you know, it's one more way of providing public information and warning. And again, there's 5 grants there. The chances of getting all 5 of these, probably pretty slim, because even in this day and age of increased threat, through a myriad of things other than just natural disasters, the federal government has chosen to reduce the money available for the Homeland Security programs.
And then last one, the Torrington Police Gunshot Simulator.
Yes, what this is, an electronic device that simulates gunfire. And I think probably the safest way to describe that would be to ask Chief Johnson to discuss the use of it.
Thank you.
I'm glad I can be the safest way to describe it. Mayor and Council, as you know, we've worked really hard over the last several years to improve training and the ability of law enforcement officers to respond to an active threat event, especially related to our schools. One of the parts of that that's really important is to put them in as realistic of a situation as we possibly can, including stress inoculation related to gunshots. In years past, we have used 12-gauge blanks, which are very effective, but they have some unintended side effects. I mean, one, they can present a safety concern. We're very careful to keep that from happening, but it still can't be totally eliminated. It also creates smoke and dust that is somewhat undesirable depending on the organization that's gracious enough to host us. This year we're going to the college, which has carpet, so it's going to be a little more challenging than in years past where we were working in the schools with a hard linoleum floor. So this creates no mess, there's no dust, there's no smoke, there's no safety risk, but it allows you to pretty much endlessly replicate the sound of gunfire so that police officers can experience that as they're working through the problem and responding to an active threat.
That was a good explanation. And this is annual training so far, right?
We do it at least once a year, but we have force-on-force training we do the full-blown school exercise at least once a year, but we have other force-on-force events multiple times a year where this would be beneficial.
Okay, so this would be used more than just once a year.
That's our plan, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to point out that the items that you have on your list there, the order in which they're presented, the first 4 are presented with the first priority first, going, priority 1 of 4, 2 of 4, and 3 of 4. Because law enforcement has a separate cutout within the funding scenario of SHSP, there's a certain amount they have to put into law enforcement. We're treating the law enforcement request as a priority one of one, treating the police department in a sense as a separate entity from emergency management.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that being said, could you include the mobile generator and light trailer in the same with the police thing?
They'd probably see through that. But, you know, it is one of those things, we'll see how this stuff goes on this run. And if it doesn't happen this time, we can ask for it next year too. It does not, County Emergency Manager Bozeman and I were in training today in Cheyenne for 8 hours. And on the way over, we were discussing the grants that he's submitting on behalf of the county. And we're actually, if even one of these is funded, we're still miles ahead because, you know, I might have 15 to 20 hours into actually submitting these grant requests. So it's a pretty good payback for that kind of time, that kind of work.
Glad we have you to do it.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate too. I agree with Councilman Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, any further questions for Mr. Kenyon or for Chief Johnson?
When are these typically awarded?
So it's a kind of a long process, Councilman. The application period will close, I believe, that should have been today, I think, because I think they opened April 21st. And then they give us about a month to write it, and I usually have my homework done. So this year, I was actually the first person to start working on the grants, and they said, we don't have something right, you're going to have to start over again. So at any rate, after the grant closes, everybody's got their submissions in. The Senior Advisory Committee, as they call it, which consists of a few people from different departments of the state, in addition to Homeland and other emergency managers meet, and they sort through the grants and they rank them for approval. And after they get a bunch together, then it goes to FEMA to get checked at Region 8 in Denver. And then they will give us preliminary denial letters or award letters, generally speaking, around June, July, depending on how jammed up they are in the office. We will know whether or not they're planning on funding us, but we then have to wait for grant award contracts to be distributed sometime in October or maybe a little later, again, depending on the office. And those award contracts come to me, and then I do the residual paperwork required by that, submit it to the mayor for approval. He signs on behalf of the city. And then we are allowed, once it goes back to the state and gets the director's signature, they let us know that we can spend money. So we can't order anything, we can't spend any money until we have the completed grant award agreement back to us. So we're always working into the next budget year, basically.
All right. Any further questions for Mr. Kenyon? Thank you, Chuck. I would entertain a motion on item number 9 to approve the resolution number 2024-3 authorizing submission of the 5 Homeland Security grant applications.
I would move, Mr. Mayor.
I have a motion from Councilman Victorin to approve resolution set forth in item 9 authorizing submission of the 5 Wyoming Homeland Security grant applications. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Deal. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, all those in favor of the approval of resolution number 2024-3 set forth in item 9 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that resolution is approved. Next item on the agenda is item number 10, resolution number 2024-4, and I'd ask Mr. Eddington to please read that resolution by title.
A resolution authorizing submission of an application to the State Loan Investment Board for a loan through the State Revolving Fund on behalf of the governing body for the city of Torrington.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington. And gentlemen, I believe that we provided a replacement resolution by Mrs. Strecker here this evening, so please refer to your replacement, not the one that's in the packet. And with that, I would call on Mrs. Strecker.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So we did have a small change in this resolution. After visiting with the director at SLIB, we cannot repay the loan through the general fund on this particular loan. So we're proposing to pay it out of the sewer fund, wastewater fund instead. So that's the only change we have.
And you were, that's Miss Blackwell, right?
Yes.
And you were advised that they have approved using user sewer rates to repay the loan.
Yes, she did say that some entities have done that in the past, so.
And Mrs. Strecker, this resolution has a due date that you have to submit this?
Well, the loans applications are due June 1st, and so it's pertinent we get it approved tonight so that we can get everything else in. But Jeff can talk more about the project itself. I'm working on the financial part of it, and
But we do have a deadline because of the June 1st.
yes.
Okay. Before I move on to Mr. Harkins, gentlemen, do you have any questions for Mrs. Strecker? All right, I call on Mr. Harkins.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This resolution is for the Clean Water SRF portion of this project, which is East D Street improvements. The project is to construct a new water line from Highway 26 all the way up to 30th Avenue and replace and construct the storm sewer from Highway 26 about to 27th Avenue, I think is where it'll start. And then we'll include the reconstruction of the street, curb, gutter, and sidewalk.
Is the curb, gutter, and sidewalk all the way from Highway 26 to 30th?
No. The upper end towards 30th, the curb, gutter, and sidewalk's in really good condition. So that will be left in place, but the street portion will be reconstructed.
All the way, the
Yeah.
street?
Streets all the way.
And this, what we're calling the East D project, or I'm calling the East, that's been in the works for a long time.
It was in design prior to my becoming city engineer for the city of Torrington.
Lo, these many years.
And we're getting closer. In fact, very close, I think.
I sure hope so.
When they reconstruct this pavement, is it going to be like cement pavement, or is it going to be asphalt, or?
It'll probably be PCC concrete. The reason for that is this will probably be constructed in phases. They'll start at Highway 26, probably do one, maybe 2 blocks at a time to replace the water line, install the sanitary sewer, and then do the curb, gutter, sidewalk, and the pavement, so that we don't just have the entire street tore up from Highway 26 all the way up to 30th Avenue.
What kind of problems is this going to create for the residents along the street?
Well, there'll be some inconvenience, obviously, when they're doing the work in front of their houses.
I mean, regarding plumbing and stuff like that.
Plumbing, they probably won't see much, if anything, because the replacement water line will be constructed while the existing water line is still in service. and then they'll make the crossover with the tap, the corp stop, and go into the existing, or most likely a replacement curb stop that goes in, shut off for the house tap. So there will be very little disruption as far as the water line work goes.
And the sewer line is down the alleyway probably, right?
No, the storm sewer is in the street.
No, not
It's not a
storm sewer, the
sanitary
regular
sewer.
line. Sewer line for the houses is in the alley, I presume,
Yes.
down there.
So
Yeah,
when
the
you're
sewer-
talking
there's
about
no
sewer,
sewer
you're
line
talking
in
storm
East D
sewer.
Street.
No, I'm talking wastewater.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all wastewater.
Well,
Sanitary sewer.
black water in the camper.
Did you get your answer?
Yeah,
Okay. All
I
right.
think.
Okay. All right. Any further questions for Mr. Harkins or Mrs. Strecker? All right. I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution set forth in item 10, authorizing submission of an application to SLIB Board for the loan and $2.5 million as set forth in item 10. Do I have a second or a motion?
I'll move.
Okay, jumping ahead of myself. All right, have a motion from Councilman Patterson to approve the resolution set forth in item 10. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Item 10, all those in favor of approving the resolution authorizing submission of the application to the State Loan Investment Board as set forth in item 10, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that resolution is approved. Next item on the agenda is item number 11. And I'd ask Mr. Eddington if he would please read that resolution by title.
A resolution authorizing submission of an application to the State Loan Investment Board for the loan through the State Revolving Fund on behalf of the governing body for the city of Torrington.
All right, and on this one, I would call first on Director of Public Works Harkins.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is for the drinking water SRF portion of this project, the same project, East D Street improvements. This loan is for $2.7 million. And we do have 25% principal forgiveness on this loan. And I forgot to mention that we do have 25% principal forgiveness on the other loan. This loan carries a 1% interest rate. The other loan for the clean water portion is a 1.5% interest rate.
And this, Mr. Harkins, has to do with replacing the 50-year-old plus undersized water lines in the storm sewers.
Correct. The 4-inch ductile iron pipe, which, if you look at the inside of that pipe after 50 years, there's a lot of scale buildup along the walls of the pipe, so it's really not even a 4-inch pipe anymore. It's probably more closer to a 2-inch pipe.
And the way that's manifested to the water user or resident is low water pressure, maybe?
Low water pressure, and obviously all the fire hydrants are going to have a lot less capacity and water pressure too. So this project would construct a new C900 PVC 8-inch water line the whole way from Highway 26 all the way up to 30th Avenue. So the volume of water and the pressures will increase significantly.
Okay, and that 8-inch line is standard for that type of street and setup?
That's what was recommended in the Level 1 study that AVI performed back in 2020. They recommended that we focus our efforts on replacing all the 4-inch ductile iron water mains, which the East D Street is one of those. And their recommendations was to replace all those with 8-inch PVC water lines.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for Mr. Harkins or Mrs. Strecker?
I do have one question, Mr. Mayor, and it came to me as the director was giving us those interest rates, and my question is, what is the life of these two loans? The repayment?
20-year terms.
20-year?
20-year terms.
All right, any further questions? All right, what are we on 11? I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution set forth in item 11, resolution number 20-24-5 regarding the application to SLIB for the loan and the amount of $2,700,000 as set forth in item 11.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make the motion to approve resolution number 2024-5.
I have a motion from Councilman Deal to approve the resolution number 2024-5 as set forth in item 11. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the resolution set forth in item number 11 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that resolution is approved. We are on item 12. Ordinance first reading, 2025 fiscal year budget. And Mr. Eddington, would you please read that ordinance by title?
It's an ordinance providing for the appropriation of money by the city of Torrington, Wyoming to meet its general fund requirements and obligations, to meet its enterprise fund requirements and obligations for the 2025 fiscal year commencing July 1, 2024, and fixing the sum to be raised by taxation.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington. And I would call on you, Mrs. Strecker.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is the first reading of the budget. It is in balance at this point. We do have several things we still have to finalize in the budget, including wages, health insurance, property and casualty insurance, the final cash carryover amounts, because as you can remember, I've got to estimate our cash carryover balance every year in the middle of June for the end of the year, June 30th. So I try to do that at the very end. I look at the budgets and I look at all of the cash balances and try to make that estimate. I'm usually pretty close, but sometimes I'm off a little bit. But the better estimate, the better budget you have. So the total budget for the first reading is $40,541. $40,541,000 and $145.10. So, but again, that is going to change. It's a living, working document. But we are in balance with all of our funds, and I feel like we have a good start on the budget. But I'd be glad to answer any questions. Our last work session on Thursday, I updated you with the new balances, and hopefully we can move forward from here. So I appreciate your help.
Thank you, Mrs. Strecker. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for Clerk Treasurer Strecker? Any comments?
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the 2025 fiscal year budget on first reading.
All right, I have on item number 12 on this evening's agenda, I have a motion from Councilman Patterson to approve the ordinance on first reading for 2025 fiscal year budget. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Deal. Okay, gentlemen, any further discussion? All right, I will call for a vote. Item number 12. All those in favor of approving the ordinance on first reading for the 2025 fiscal year budget signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
That's 4-1. Miss Anaya. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Next item on the agenda is item number 13, approval of the bills from May 8th, 2024 to May 21st, 2024. And I'd call on Mrs. Strecker.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Attached to your agenda were a list of bills, and then handed out tonight was an additional set. Be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Mayor? Go ahead.
There's no questions on the bills. I make a motion to pay them as presented.
All right, I have on item number 13 on the agenda, I have a motion from Councilman Kelly to approve the bills as presented there in item 13. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Deal. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor in item 13 of approval of the bills as set forth therein signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, those bills are approved. Next item on the agenda is public comment. And I would call Fire Chief Luis Correa up for a fire report. Thank you for coming this evening and giving us your report, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So since the last time we met, we've had a few calls, a couple of busy days on the 9th. We went for a chemical smell investigation at a residence. We were unable to determine what the smell was coming from, but we checked the levels and made sure that all levels that would be harmful to the resident were in good order. The second call that day was a gas meter that was hit in an alleyway. But when we got there, the person who actually had called it in had shut off the gas themselves. So that was between them and Black Hills Energy at that point. Then on the 11th, again, we had a couple of them. That was a Saturday, and there was a ditch company that was burning. And as that goes, they burn a little bit, and then they move on to the next section. And so a passerby had seen that there was some smoke and nobody in the area, so we went and investigated that. Made sure that it was out and safe to be there. And then the next call we had was a controlled burn that was called in that got away from the people doing that, and we were able to dispatch a couple guys and get it knocked down pretty fast. On the 13th, we actually got to, it wasn't a dispatch, but another one of the fire chiefs from LaGrange called us up, and they had a couple of guys in a man lift about 50 foot up in the air that they lost their hydraulics on their truck, and we were able to take the tower out and perform a technical rescue on that. So
Was he 50 foot up?
yeah, they were limbing up trees, so it was nice, good training for us and a safe outcome for them. So
Did he tell you thank you?
yeah, he definitely did. He definitely did. Although just the fact that he had to call us and admit defeat, I think was
Hard to do.
thank you enough.
Next time, did you tell them next time to take a rope with you?
You know, they discussed that. They discussed the possibility of rappelling or climbing down the boom, or possibly a ladder to that. And ultimately, they decided probably the safest alternative was to just give us a call with the ladder truck.
I
And
think so.
so we did that. Again, it's that time of the year. On the 14th, we had another ditch fire that kind of got out of hand, and again, we were able to get that put out. Then on the 16th, we were mutual aided to Springer Lake. They were doing a prescribed burn that kind of got away from them, and we sent two of our quick attacks, which are our smaller trucks, and our tanker to support Yoder. And again, that one went well. On the 17th, Trail Elementary had been having some issues with their alarm system. I believe they have it in their budget to get it replaced, but it went off a couple times that day that alarmed, and we investigated, make sure nothing was on fire or anything, and everything was good. On the 19th, we again had a fire in a canal that just kind of got away from them. Then today, actually, we had a pretty busy day. That's why I wasn't at the staff meeting today. We were actually on a car fire on mile marker 100 of 2685. It was actually pretty much put out by a worker from Black Hills Energy. Smart thinking, he had a fire extinguisher. We were dispatched and were able to put it out the rest of the way so that it was able to be towed by butlers. And towards the end of the day, somebody decided to make a drive-through at O'Reilly Auto Parts and hit the building. So
Of which?
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Okay.
I'm
Did
not.
they need brake shoes or?
It might have been a brake check. Yeah,
Go through the front or the back?
the front. It just dented the building up pretty good, but yeah, thankfully it was minimal damage. So that's as far as calls go. That's what we had going on. Like we said before, our air compressor is down and out, and hopefully we'll get that ordered soon and get it coming here so we can continue operations as normal. One other thing is that our main engine 6, will be going tomorrow to get a water pump. It's got a leak, a coolant leak that thankfully we were able to get it into a local shop tomorrow, and that'll be hopefully back in service tomorrow. That's all I got.
Thank you for your report, gentlemen. Do you have any questions or comments? No. It's a good report. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Chief Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just had two quick things. First, I would like to extend a personal thank you to Mr. Kenyon for his work on the Homeland Security grants. Our agency has benefited tremendously from his work, and he does so studiously and very effectively, and we're just incredibly grateful for his help. So, also, we're rolling out our DARE camp this week, and just wanted to make a quick announcement on it. This past school year, we were not able to teach DARE in the schools. With the schedule change and increasing requirements for the district in terms of academic content, we weren't able to teach in 5th grade as we normally have in the past. We were pretty disappointed in that, just because that's something we really enjoy doing, building connections with kids. And so we're going to host a camp this summer from August 12th through the 16th. And essentially, we're going to cover all the DARE lessons inside of a week. And then, so it'll be 3 hours of DARE instruction. And then the last hour will include classes on firearms safety, firearms handling, and marksmanship, so that we can improve firearms safety for kids in the community. On the Thursday, we'll actually take the kids out to the police range where they will have the opportunity to shoot .22 rifles and learn what we studied. And then Friday, we're going to take all of the kids to the Haven on the Rocks camp for the full day and get to just hang out and have a ball doing outdoor activities. We're going to have essentially 2 flights, if you will, of the class. So we'll have a morning flight and an afternoon flight. The morning group will run up until lunch, and the afternoon group will start after lunch, and lunch will be hosted at the college. So the kiddos will overlap. We'll have 30 kids in each group, and any kiddo who's going into 6th grade in Goshen County is invited to attend, and it will be free of charge. So we're going to be advertising that a bunch this week, and wanted to make sure you folks were informed. And we also shared the information with our partners in the media. So if you got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but it's a fun, exciting event. I should mention that Assistant Chief Conley and the SROs poured their heart into this to make it a reality. So we're really proud of their work and appreciative of it.
Well, I appreciate you and Chief Conley and the SROs for doing all the work, because it's a lot of background work to put this together, right?
It's going to be a good time. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is public comment time. We've had the fire chief up here and the chief of police up here. Do we have anybody else that wants to? We have Mr. Ed Hawley, Streets and Sanitation, approaching the podium.
Mayor and council, just want to let you know that it's kind of early in grass season, as we all know, and we had a good year last year composting, but it's starting out trashy this year. We've already dumped more than we've saved, so kind of just want to point that out. Also like to mention that the dumpsters are for municipal solid waste, not C&D, and we have dumped tons and tons of lumber into our baler. We've damaged a truck because the lumber got caught in there and bent up the mast, so it's going to take Brian a little while to get that fixed. But so it's kind of incidents that I wish the public could learn.
And that's what we're trying to do here, because we're on the radio tonight.
Yes,
C&D, what does that mean?
that's construction, demolition.
Okay. And that's not appropriate to put those in the city dumpsters?
No, we would rather you bring it to the baler, pay the $15 or $20, whatever it is, or take it to the landfill, pay by the pound. It's, I know people don't want to do that because we've had 8-foot walls, 5-foot wide, standing in the dumpsters. It took somebody a lot of effort to cut them down and put them in there, but then I got to send somebody out to get them out because I can't dump them that way.
And like that, what you just described that caused damage to your baler, you weren't even aware of that until it actually gets into the
Until it started getting in. The baler, we got it fed through it and busted up. But the truck, when it caught the side of the truck and the dumpster, something had to give, and it unfortunately was the hook on the truck. So,
Okay.
and that happens pretty regular, so more than we like it.
When you see that building material and stuff like that in a dumpster, can't you just leave the dumpster there and not refuse to dump it?
That's what I would like to do, but then when you go try to get it, find out who done it, nobody knows, nothing.
Just leave it there. Somebody will get the point.
I'll have them call you.
Well, I'll call him, okay?
But if, it could be somebody not even in the neighborhood.
I mean,
Yeah,
someone
that's
who's,
what we're getting, is a lot of it just comes from, it can come up from the block, 6 blocks away, or it can come from out in the country, so. But, and we have left them and picked them up and dumped them elsewise, but we don't go to the dump with all these loads. They go to a transfer station where it's baled. So that, it's hard on equipment. So, but that's all I had to say. But the grass we need to clean up so I can use it.
I was just going to clarify that for the citizens a little bit more, Ed, or maybe you could. The grass dumpsters are for grass waste only,
Yes.
not other waste.
Not other waste, no. I got a picture of one that's more garbage than grass. It was milk cartons, cereal boxes, unfortunately nothing with a name.
And, I mean, that's a violation of city ordinance if you get caught doing that.
Yes.
And I might add, Mr. Mayor, that probably continued wrong use of the grass dumpsters may promote the city to dissolve that service in the future.
It could, yes. The only reason we're trying to do it is to try to keep 25% of this material out of our landfill, which DEQ, I can't say mandate, but would like to see accomplished.
And so on the out and about, the dumpsters that are grass only, that's grass clippings only.
Yes.
And if only grass clippings are in there, it's somewhat useful to you because you can,
We can compost it. Well, I've been able to get rid of my compost that's been full of trash, and I've had people take it, but I can't sell it because it's dirty. And if I try to screen it, we spend almost $6,000 a month just to rent a screen to do that with. So it's really not feasible to me.
and one last question, or at least one last one, Ed. How did the spring cleanup go?
Great. Really had a very good turnout.
And the residents took advantage of the free,
They apparently
Saturdays?
did, yes.
well,
But
that's
not
what,
all of them, because we got a bunch of lumber yesterday, so,
but many of the citizens took
but
advantage of
many
it.
of them took advantage of it, yes.
Is the baler down there open on Saturdays all year long?
No. The only thing I'm opening up on Saturdays is the west gate, so they can dump grass and tree limbs. And there is a dumpster provided if they need to dump their garbage sacks and stuff in it, because obviously we know plastic doesn't break down.
And we do monitor that lot.
Yes. I open it Saturday morning, close it Saturday evening. But the baler itself is closed.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming this evening and announcing these things, not only to mayor and council, but to the public.
Yeah, I just appreciate their help.
Yeah. All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
Ed.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. You too.
Mr.
Go ahead.
If there's nothing further, in the essence of time, I would move to enter the council into executive session for discussion of a potential donation classified as confidential by Wyoming Statute 164405, paragraph A, Romanet 8.
All right. I have regarding item 15 on tonight's agenda, I have a motion from Councilman Victorin to move council into executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Any discussion? I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the motion to move into executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, council will move into executive session.